Hey guys, welcome back to American History. Today we're going to take a look at our westward expansion. I know last class or last session we kind of dived into Manifest Destiny and some of the ways that we achieved Manifest Destiny, but now we're going to get a little bit more in depth as far as how we acquired Texas, how we acquired California, how we acquired Oregon, and so forth, and really kind of show how we achieved and moved westward into that Manifest Destiny. So again, we looked at this map before last time, and we know that by 1845, the U.S. are going to annex Texas, who has become an independent country. We're also going to kind of settle a dispute with England to kind of dictate the treaty or the line of difference between Canada and Oregon, and we're also going to gain the southwest part of our country by winning the Mexican-American War. So let's go ahead and kind of put each of these into context, and we'll start here kind of with Texas and the issues that are arising with Mexico and Texas. And if we look here on the Mexican map in 1821, this is basically what Mexico looks like, and you see the different provinces or states that they're made up of, as far as California, New Mexico, and here's Texas. Now, the problem is that Texas is going to be kind of welcomed by Americans because they're offering cheap land. However, an example of this will be Stephen Austin, who becomes one of the wealthiest white men in Texas. However, the Mexicans have a certain set of laws that they expect the people of Texas to abide by, and a lot of these Americans who are living in Texas are not abiding by them. They will not convert to Catholicism. They will not accept a ban on slavery. Texas wants to be a slave state to encourage the agriculture the same way they have the cash crop systems in the southern part of the United States. And they also wanted to have a say in Mexican government. However, Mexican President Santa Anna is not going to be a fan of these ideas, and they're going to basically threaten and arrest Stephen Austin in 1834. And once Santa Anna kind of views these people of Texas as a threat to Mexican security and safety, by about 1835, 1836, the Texans are going to claim their independence and want to break away from Mexico. And Santa Anna is not going to take this very kindly. He's going to basically go into Texas, where we have present-day San Antonio, and he's going to lead his army against these rebels that have to be put down. And this battle, known as the Alamo, which is where it's going to be fought in present-day San Antonio, is going to be kind of the battle cry for Texas independence when the Mexicans defeat those fighting at the Alamo and kill every single person there. Remember, the Alamo, as far as those who tried to stave off Mexican tyranny and try to promote Texas freedom, is going to reign throughout the Republic of Texas. However, even though every single person out of about the 250 men who were defending the Alamo, even though they had all died in that battle, including Davy Crockett and Jim Bowie, who were westward expansionists that were Americans, this war cry will kind of resonate, and Texas will go ahead and avail. And General Sam Houston is going to capture Santa Anna's army in 1836 and effectively win the Texas War for Independence. So by 1836, Texas is its own independent nation, and from 1836 all the way to 1845, Texas is going to be an independent country, and Sam Houston will be their first president. Now, even though Texas was independent, they had always, because most of them were Americans anyway, they wanted to be annexed by the United States and become another state in the Union. However, because Texas was a slavery country, as far as allowing them to become a slave state is going to become an issue, and that's what's going to hold off until 1845. So the election of 1844, if we fast forward a few years, is going to become very important because James K. Polk, the Democrat from this idea of a manifest destiny, or we call him kind of this manifest destiny president, he runs on a couple platforms, and he is actually one of the most successful presidents in this because he actually confirms on all three of his platforms. He wants to annex Texas. He also wants to end the British claims to Oregon, so that way America has officially a territory up in the northwest part of the continent. And they also want to add California and all that as a state as well, and he's going to be able to do all three of these things. So when James Polk becomes president, he's going to annex Texas in 1845 as a slave state. In order to make the Northerners happy, then they're going to add Oregon as a free state. Because remember, we kind of saw the same issue when we talked about the Missouri Compromise. If you have more free states or more slave states, you have that disparity in Congress, and either the North or South does not want the other side to have too much power or too much representation, so they try to keep it even between slave states and free states. However, there is an issue as far as the territory of Oregon, because Oregon territory is jointly controlled by the U.S. and Britain. They both lay claims to, they both lay claims to it. So President Polk is going to demand for the entire territory. He wants to fight on this 54 parallel line, and the battle cry known as 54-40 or fight will become kind of reign true over his campaign. However, the U.S. and the Britain are going to compromise, and they're going to basically split Oregon in half, and Oregon will settle on the 49th parallel here, what we have as far as our present-day Northwest Territory, or our northwest corner of our United States today. And Oregon will become a free territory. So when Texas won its independence, Mexico in 1836, remember those two sides will disagree over the battle borders or the borders of the Republic of Texas. When Texas becomes part of the United States, that land was never settled. So Texas is bringing in a certain amount of territory here, but Mexico, in this pink part, is still claiming part of this land. And they believe that they have rightful claims to it, while the United States believes they have rightful claims to it because all of that was supposed to be Texas. And when we annexed Texas, they believe that they should have not just the Republic, but also the other land to go with it. So now you have two countries fighting over this part of present-day Colorado, Oklahoma, and Texas, and this will lead to then the Mexican-American War of 1846. So then in 1846, President Polk is going to send General Zachary Taylor to Texas, or at least the lands that were claimed in between, and they're going to send their men on the rivers that provoked Mexico basically to join the war, because Mexico saw that as an invading army on their territory. However, even though Mexico is provoked into war, the United States will win a pretty handedly and pretty quick war. It only stretches over 2 years, and it was never really in doubt for the Americans. And they're going to lay claim to northern Mexico. General Winfield Scott will capture Mexico City, as well as the Union winning in California. And from this, then, we're going to be able to come up with the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, where we can see all the territory that was annexed. We do claim the entire annexation of Texas, so all this territory that was disputed, as well as the northern part of Mexico, present-day Utah, New Mexico, Colorado, and California. A few years later, then, we will end up buying, as far as the Gadsden Purchase, for about $10 million, the southern border of what we have now today of Arizona and New Mexico. So then what we're going to see is that California has a very similar history to Texas as far as how they get annexed into the United States. So by 1830, a lot of, even though Mexico controlled California, they were offering a lot of cheap land for American ranchers to come out and move to their part of the country. And then eventually these Americans want to secede and break away from Mexico. And in 1846, they're going to revolt against Mexico, and they will lead to creating their own country known as the California Republic. And then eventually by 1848, once the Mexican-American War is over, California will be annexed by the United States as well. And once gold is found in San Francisco, plethora of Americans are going to flood to California in the 1849, and that's where the 49ers come from, the gold rush of 1849, hoping to strike rich. And these people are coming from all over the world to try to make a name for themselves, or try to be able to find gold and make it rich very quickly.